So, you've heard of Greg, you've heard of Menace, you've heard of the chickens, and you've heard of Crime Child, but have you ever heard the man himself, Diversity? I mean, he's cool and all, but what character embodies diversity more than the man himself? When you're literally named Diversity, you surely must have an important part of diversifying the area you were in and making it more lovely, lively, all pretty and all that. But of course, when one man's diversity comes in, it becomes another man's tragedy. So this is the story of the man himself, Diversity. We don't know where, how, or when Diversity was born, but it's safe to assume that he was young when he came to Gooberia, but was experienced enough to understand deep philosophy. He was traveling around the world, and that was when he landed in Old Gooberia when he met Grant and Devon. When he was there, he told the two about his philosophy about diversification and all that, and Grant and Devon were amused by his wisdom despite his age and appearance. Grant believed that he should stay in Gooberia as Diversity mentioned that he was a nomad and has been traveling around the world for years. Diversity accepted his place to live, and he stood in the basement of Crime Child and the villagers. He had a job to keep the villagers and Crime Child in check, mostly so Diversity can feel like he had a purpose. He often gets asked for questions about deep down in philosophy, and Diversity answered the best he could. From the villager #DreamCheated, he asked if Dream was a cheater, and Diversity answered with a simple yes. He was even the one that helped Crime Child grow wiser and smarter, and even convinced him to start his failed music career. Diversity did not go outside of the community house a lot, but when he did, it was for important events and to learn about the community.
I'm just saying, he was even there at the Coliseum duels.
He was a bit disappointed to learn that the library inside the community house was removed after a renovation and wanted the new library to be built to help grow the members of Gooberia, but he moved out from that debacle. One day, Diversity decided that it was his time to leave, and he packed what he could and left a note saying this. I appreciate your hospitality towards me during my stay in Gooberia. I have learned a lot about this community during my stay here, but I feel as if there's little left to do. When you see this note, I will have left the house for my new journey. Please understand that I do not hate you all, quite the contrary. I loved every moment I had in Gooberia. I will return someday, I promise. Diversity then left without a trace. The realm was shocked by this change as he has been there since the very beginning of Gooberia. The note was never found though, so the realm believed that Diversity died. A grave was built for him, but it was unknown how or if he even died, so it was more of a memorial grave than anything else. There have been so-called replacements for Diversity, such as the Diversity Sheep, who was the black sheep of the farm, and quite literally. He too later disappeared ironically, but was later rediscovered in the underground tunnels, which was built a part of Devon's dictator plan. He was suspected to be part of Devon's election fraud scheme too, and was put into a temporary jail cell in the condemned house. Too bad he was left there and hasn't been released since. Must suck to be him. Everyone was seemingly moving on and his memory was slowly being forgotten, but one day, Diversity returned, but with a strange aura around him. The bees decided to take him in for analysis. He was in the hive for a couple of days for investigation. His soul and memories were practically the same as the original Diversity, but his body had a strange power. A strange occurrence then later happened when a zombie horde was outside the hive. Diversity's powers suddenly killed the horde one by one. Diversity was fearful over the horde, so the bees theorized that his power, nicknamed the Requiem, was the power to manipulate the energy of hordes of people. Then Gyro Zeppeli had an idea. He decided to put him back into the basement where he thought he would accidentally kill the villagers, but surprisingly, Diversity made them feel more joyous and energetic than usual. The bees decided that he should stay down there, so later they published a report on Diversity's strange abilities, and later on, Diversity wasn't too pleased that he was basically used for a scientific experiment, but later the bees and Diversity made amends, so all's good. A lot has changed since he was gone. Greg became a cyborg, the house was changed, and even Crime Child was gone. Crime Steed wondered what happened to him, and Diversity told him this story. I was traveling on the outskirts of Gooberia, and that was until I hit a strange portal. I landed in a dark, space-like region. I felt something inside of me saying that this was my true home. I wanted to experience this region once again, but suddenly a man in a dark cloak approached and attacked me for no rhyme or reason. From a young age, I was taught to be a pacifist, but I knew in this situation I must fight back. We were fighting for quite a while. My teleportation ability was strong and was able to do some damage onto him, but he just kept going after me. We then reached the fortress and I became a fool myself, and then got cornered by the man. I felt like it was the end for me. My entire life flashed before my eyes, but that was until by a stroke of luck, an arrow fell in my leg and it hurt quite a bit. The man was also shocked. He had a face of surprise, like he had found a toy from his childhood after many years. A great light appeared around me and the man bounced back from the explosion. I was able to levitate around him and then said, "My power is far greater than yours. Leave or it's over for you." The man decided to continue to fight me. I blocked in defense and the man bounced back. It was strange because I felt no pain from his sword wound, but the pain bounced back onto the man twice as hard. The man then stood still in shock, and then a purple goop came out of his leg. He then fell down and what looks like he began to die. I then put a blanket over him and let him suffer with dignity. I do not know if he is still alive, but I can assure you that this memory will stick with him forever, and he will make sure that he will never fight anyone again.
Although his power has amused some, it has scared others, and yet much is still unknown about his power or how he even got it. But one thing is for certain, most of everyone is glad that Diversity has returned to tell the tales of his life as a nomad and how they could become better people. He has planned to do travels to Swagville and Endor to sell his new children's book about traveling and being a nomad. I think it will be interesting to see how his life will change after him gaining a Requiem power, and if he will use it for good or evil. But for now, Diversity is keeping the basement villagers in check and still trying to help Crimesteed cope after the sudden death of his best friend.